Hello everyone, GoldenNova here, and it's time to fulfill a request from this month's Quasar Commander. That's right, the patron that goes the most above and beyond gets their choice of archetype to cover, and this time around, we're continuing coverage of the Dracoslayer Storyline by talking about the last companion theme found in the True King half of the story. We've cracked Crystrons and melded with Metalfoes, and now it's time to get zany with Zoodiacs. Premiering in the February 2017 core set Raging Tempest, the penultimate set before the end of Arc V, this crew of furry freedom fighters were the third to obtain the blessings of Masterpiece the True Dracoslayer, helping them in their battle against True King Lithosigem, the closest of VFD's spawn to match its power. I don't have any lore reason to back that up, but it has been the only other True King to end up on the ban list, so there's that. While the Zoodiac's gauntlets don't match their size, they do match their power level, acting as a menace to the competitive landscape while at the height of their power. Even during the first run of Master Rule 4, when summoning from the extra deck was highly restricted, their gimmick shielded them from the change's more destructive repercussions, and it took many hits on the ban list and a huge swell in power creep to put this deck in check. And today, we're going to cover just what made them so terrifying. Let's check our dates to see all the animals the Zoodiacs have to offer, see how they stack up, then find some beasts to help them with the burden of victory. It's time to zoom past the competition with Zoodiacs. But before we continue, a quick reminder to please like and subscribe if you've enjoyed my content so far. We're on the road to 100,000 subscribers, and there's no better way to get there than on our duel runners. Our next stop is 40k, which means Leo and Luna Explained, where we'll be covering Ancient Fairy Dragon's companions, the Power Tool Dragons, Morphtronics, and any other cards that are more than meets the eye. We've also got a Discord where we have no shortage of cute sneckies. I also have a Twitch where you can join me for viewer duels, progression polls pulls, and chaos draft pulls for the foreseeable future. And don't forget about my Patreon, where you can gain access to my videos early, reach some of these milestones, as well as helping to determine which videos I make. Thank you all so much for watching, and now, back to the video. So what's the deal with Zoodiacs? Well, they're a series of level, or rank 4, Earth Attribute Beast Warrior type monsters, and while their central gimmick isn't new, it does push the mechanic to its extreme. Chaos Xyz Evolution. While not an officially recognized term, you'll remember from my Utopia video that some Xyz monsters can be slapped right on top of another one without using a rank-up magic spell, or similar effect. The classic example is that number C39 Utopia Ray can be slapped onto an existing Utopia. But you also have things like Downward Magician for any rank 3 or lower Xyz monster during main phase 2, and one of the most prevalent extra deck monsters at time of recording, Zeus, can Chaos Xyz on top of any Xyz the turn any Xyz monster has battled. But those are all still relegated to very specific situations with very little follow-up. Once you make Zeus, that's basically the end of the line, you just have Zeus. Zoodiacs take this one step beyond. All of their Xyz monsters can be stacked on top of a single Zoodiac monster, other than a copy of itself. And with no less than 6 Xyz monsters, you can end up cycling through a ton of effects off a single monster. Kind of like how a single Sky Striker Ray can be every Sky Striker mecha on the planet. We'll get more into how they function in just a bit, but for now, we're going to want to talk about the main deck monsters that make up the starting point for our deck. And something to keep in mind is that, while they're Xyz material, they grant the monster they're attached to an effect, as long as their original type is Beast Warrior. That means they'll be applying their effects to any Zoodiac Xyz they're a part of, as well as any off-theme monsters you might run, like Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Tiger King. Also note that this gives the material while being an Xyz material, instead of giving an effect to a monster that uses it as Xyz material. So no matter how they end up as material, their effects will still apply. You could stack 4 Xyz on top of a single monster, and you'll still pass on that original bonus effect. Zoodiac Bunny Blast has 800 attack and defense, and if this card is destroyed by a battle or card effect, you can target a Zoodiac card in your grave, except a copy of itself, and add it to your hand. And as an Xyz material to a Beast Warrior Xyz monster during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a spell card or effect that targets this card, you can detach a material from this card to negate the activation. This will unfortunately not help against the likes of Forbidden Droplets, but most other spells you can just shrug right off. You know, your chalices, your enemy controllers, your Change of Hearts, all that kind of stuff. And it's all wrapped up in such a cute little package. It's good to see that, in a game full of bloodthirsty fiends and corrupted machines, that we can keep some innocence and wonder alive. Zoodiac Xyz has 800 attack and 1200 defense, and if this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target a Zoodiac card in your grave and shuffle it into the deck. And as an Xyz material for a Beast Warrior Xyz monster during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a monster effect that targets this card, you can detach a material from this card to negate the activation. So where Bunny Blast kept you safe against spells, Xyz does the same thing against Effect Veiler or Eldritch. And since monsters tend to be the most represented among interactions, this card is certainly the cock of the walk. Zoodiac Ram has 400 attack and 2000 defense, and if this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target a Zoodiac monster in your grave and special summon it. And while this is Xyz material for a Beast Warrior monster, when your opponent activates a trap card or effect that targets this card, as a quick effect, you can detach a material to negate the activation. Ram is probably our best of these three when it comes to being an actual monster, having the best defense and actually replacing itself on destruction with an actual summon. But the effect is a bit less useful. It'll keep you safe from the errant Imperm and other niche picks, but really, its floating effect was all it needed, especially during Master Rule 4 where you could revive Xyz material out of your grave with this, thus putting it in the main monster zone, then use other effects to give it Xyz material, bypassing the EMZ restriction. It's a trick that's still useful nowadays to broaden your lineup and make it easier to field things like Utopic Draco Future. In fact, there's a whole stable of plays you can pull off with this. Just look up Ram Ranch for more details. Zoodiac Rat Pierre has 0 attack and defense, and if this card is normal summoned, you can send a Zoodiac card from your deck to the grave. And while it's Xyz material to a Beast Warrior Xyz monster, it can once per turn detach a material to special summon a Zoodiac Rat Pierre from your hand or deck. Now, if you don't know anything about Zoodiacs, I want you to pause the video right now and comment down below where you think Rat Pierre is on the ban list right now. Unlimited? Semied? Limited? Banned? Go ahead. Take a moment, I want to see what your first impressions are of this card's power level. At time of recording, this card is limited. That's right, the one spot on the list that keeps it legal while completely shutting off the granted effect. And if you think about it for a bit, you can start to see why. In a deck where a single monster unlocks your entire extra deck, it might be a little strong to gain access to a whole free material that can make another big Xyz stack, or help you access your generic rank 4 toolbox. After all, despite everything else, we are still an archetype made up entirely of level 4 monsters, meaning we have even more options. Zoodiac Thoroughblade has 1600 attack and 0 defense, and if this card is normal or special summoned, you can discard a Zoodiac card to draw a card. And as Xyz material on a Beast Warrior Xyz, it grants that monster piercing battle damage. This makes for a great way to cycle cards out of your hand, so you get just the right ones you need for the game plan ahead. And considering how powerful some of our cards can be, trust me, they're worth digging for. As it turns out, it's always worth it to take a thorough look through your deck. Zoodiac Whiptail has 1200 attack and 400 defense, and as a quick effect, you can target a Beast Warrior Xyz monster you control and attach this card from your hand or field to it as material. And while it isn't Xyz material to a Beast Warrior Xyz monster, if it battles an opponent's monster after damage calculation, banish that opponent's monster. This is one of the trickiest in the theme, as it effectively acts as a battle hand trap. Not only will you be able to attack with this during the battle phase and then quick effect slide it under one of your Zoodiacs, and spoilers, this will grant it an additional 1200 attack, your opponent might think it's safe to attack into one of your Xyz when all of a sudden Whiptail descends from your hand and turns it into a deity warrior lady, and, if nothing else, can still just act as extra material for your effects. Either way, your opponent's gonna end up with the tail end of the deal. Alright, that's all of our main deck monsters, and now it's time for our Xyz, and there's actually another nifty quirk they all share. On top of being able to stack on top of a differently named Zoodiac once per turn, they all have question mark attack and defense, and they derived those stats from the combined total attack and defense of all Zoodiac monsters it has as material. This provides a very interesting trade-off. You can either make them the quick and easy way, but not have very good stats because at most you'll have a single main deck monster to work with, or summon them the hard way and get some decent stats out of it. Though, as history has borne out, the quick and easy way is usually the best. Let's start with Zoodiac Broadbull, who requires 2 level 4 monsters as material, and once per turn you can detach an Xyz material from this card to add a Beast Warrior monster from your deck to your hand that can be normal summoned or set. This excludes, like, 7 monsters. Other than that, every Beast Warrior in the game in your main deck is at your disposal. And this card wasn't just good in Zoodiacs, I mean, they're all Beast Warriors, so go figure. It was also good for any deck that could use level 4 monsters and had Beast Warriors you wanted to search, because the material requirements for this card are so lax. This opened things up so a bunch of non-Zoodiac decks could play a bunch of Zoodiac Xyz, because Broad Bull was a great onboarding ramp to access the rest. And if you wanted to be extra nutty by using that same technique, you could get 2 Broad Bull searches in the same turn. One for making it the hard way, and the second for making it the easy way after you cycled through a different Zoodiac, because that search is a soft once per turn. So, unsurprisingly, this card was banned, and remains so to this day. Because any card that's basically a non-level restricted tanky that could potentially be used twice has far too broad of an appeal. Zoodiac Xyz requires 2 or more level 4 monsters as material, and once per turn you can detach an Xyz material from this card, then target a Zoodiac monster in your grave, special summon it, but for the rest of the turn it has its effects negated, and also it can't be used as Xyz material for a summon. That sounds really counterintuitive, but it's actually really good for setting up your non-Xyz Zoodiacs, namely Ram, as it has great defense, and its on-destruction effect will still trigger despite Xyz's negation. So if it gets popped by either you or your opponent, you get a fresh Zoodiac, and it's not going to have any of Xyz's restrictions. Basically, they tried to put a tight leash on its effectiveness, but there were ways around it. Zoodiac Tiger Mortar requires 3 level 4 monsters as material, and once per turn you can detach an Xyz material from this card, then target an Xyz monster you control and a Zoodiac monster in your grave, and attach that Zoodiac monster to that Xyz monster as material. This basically means you get to transfer a material from Tiger Mortar to another Xyz, though you can also use it to swap Tiger Mortar's material since it can target itself. And more likely than not, this is used to recharge the effects of any Zoodiac you revived from the grave to give it a second lease on life. A prime example being that you can summon back an Xyz with Xyz, ranking that Xyz into Tiger Mortar, then giving that new monster a material to use next turn. And you get to pick which material is best, giving them the targeted negation effects of Cataroost, Bunny Blast, or Ram to push their effects through. I also like how they have a penchant for flower arranging, though to be fair, that last bit of info isn't exactly canon. Zoodiac Hammer Kong requires 3 or more level 4 monsters as material, and while this card has Xyz material, your opponent can't target face-up Zoodiac monsters on the field with card effects, except this one. And once per turn during the end phase, detach an Xyz material from this card. This provides some great protection for your monster lineup, and as it turns out, is fairly easy to use. Simply rank up into this, then use it as part of your Xyz step ladder, detach this for an effect, then use Xyz to revive it. Then you can use that trick to rank Xyz into Tiger Mortar to give Hammer Kong a material. Now, because its effects are negated thanks to Xyz, it won't provide its protection yet, but it also means it can't detach a material at the end phase. So once things roll around and the effect negation goes away, your opponent can only interact with your monsters in limited ways. Unfortunately, the detach happens on both players' end phases, so you will lose the protection once you go back around to your turn. But another Tiger Mortar effect will fix that right up. What can I say? This card is just another in a long conga line of assholes. Zoodiac Trident requires 4 level 4 monsters as material, and once per turn during either player's turn, you can detach a material from this card, then target a face-up card on the field and destroy it. That's right, the one and only Trident has made their appearance. While the effect seems pretty tame, I mean it's marginally better than a Raigeki break really, it doesn't even hit face-down cards. But Trident terrorized the meta for a long time to come, as quick and easy removal at spell speed 2 was downright oppressive. Heck, if you had the spare material, you could spend 1 to blow up your own Ram to continue your plays. That's how versatile this card was. And to this day, that power has been iterated upon and continues to get even stronger. I've been known to call Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer a grape-flavored Trident, but really, where's the lie? Sure, it doesn't target and can hit face-down cards now along with a bunch of ancillary changes, but really, it's just an example of the next step of Trident's influence permeating throughout the metagame, and is, maybe inappropriately, banned as well. Seriously, that's 3 cards in Zoodiacs that are FNL list adjacent. The designers really forked up with this archetype. Zoodiac Borbo requires 5 level 4 monsters as material and can attack directly. And if this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent while it has 12 or more Xyz material, you can send as many cards as possible from your opponent's hand and field to the grave, then change this card to defense position. It feels like this should be the deck's big win condition. Stack up a monster with an ungodly amount of material, swing in, then strip your opponent of all their resources. In reality, it was used as a spare Zoodiac to get some free material that could sometimes swing in for some chip damage. Until now, where its ability to attack uncontested, and thus battle, makes this one of the most potent enablers for Divine Arsenal AA Zeus, Sky Thunder. Attack directly with Borbo, stack a ton of material onto it, and you can easily get a Zeus with 3 activations, meaning you'll be able to commit a lot of board wipes. It does suck that such a cool effect has been pushed to the side for what amounts to the access code talker of Xyz Monsters, but it gets the job done, even if it is a little boring. Alright, that's all the monsters, now it's time for the spells and traps, and this one is another reason why the deck was so feared. Zoodiac Barrage is— what in the heck is going on with Bunny Blast? Anyway, Zoodiac Barrage is a continuous spell that targets a face-up card you control, destroy it, and if you do, special summon a Zoodiac monster from your deck. And if this card is destroyed by a card effect and sent to the grave, you can target a Zoodiac Xyz monster you control and attach this card from your grave to that Xyz monster as Xyz material. So, to clarify, this was effectively an emergency teleport for all your Zoodiacs, getting them onto the field without using your normal summon. And since it could target and destroy itself, it didn't require any prior setup. It could also destroy things like floodgates or even your own Zoodiacs because, once again, Ram exists. It's like a Metalfoes card, but 100 times better. And if you already had a Zoodiac Xyz on board, then you can slide this under a monster as spare material to make more use of their effects. This also made it so you could easily splash Zoodiac into other decks without interfering with the base deck's engine, providing easy access to a variety of extra deck effects, including Trident. And so, like a lot of cards we've talked about today, this card is also banned. It's a veritable barrage of botched ban list bungles. Zoodiac Sign is the obligatory lore field spell. It grants all Zoodiac monsters a 300 attack and defense boost, and monsters your opponent controls can't target face-up Beast Warrior type monsters you control for attacks, except the one with the highest attack, either if tied. And once per turn, if any number of Zoodiac monsters you control are destroyed by a card effect, you can destroy a monster in your hand or field instead of one of your Zoodiac monsters. As far as these field spells go, this is actually decent. Not good, but decent. It means you can stack some good attacks on a single Zoodiac to draw fire away from your others that are lacking stats so they don't get run over. And being able to destroy Cataroost, Bunny Blast, or Ram to protect your other Zoodiacs means you get protection and a floating effect. It's still not name-stamped as a Zoodiac card, it's missing that crucial second O, but hey, baby steps. It also shows that Masterpiece is the one that got them those gauntlets, so now we know who's responsible for taking Hammer Kong's measurements and then just making a bunch of hammers in that size for everyone. We have got to find someone to tailor those things. Zoodiac Combo is a normal trap card that targets a Zoodiac Xyz monster you control, and you attach a Zoodiac monster from your deck to that Xyz monster as material. And during either player's turn, except the turn this card was sent to the grave, you can banish this card from your grave, then target 5 Zoodiac cards in your grave with different names, shuffle all 5 into the deck, then draw a card. This was a phenomenal card for keeping your resources stocked up, and was a guaranteed one of in any build that ran a lot of these cards. You can easily send it off the normal summon of Rat Pierre, and after you've cycled through a lot of Xyz monsters, you can shove them all back into the extra deck to use later, and get you a draw for your troubles. And its on-field effect wasn't half bad either, giving you more material and extra effects. Whiptail was already silly enough, but now you could do it right from the deck. What a neat combo. Zoodiac Gathering is a continuous trap card, and if a Zoodiac Xyz monster you control would detach its material to activate an effect, you can detach an Xyz material from another Xyz monster you control instead. You can also banish this card from your grave, then target 2 Zoodiac Xyz monsters you control, and attach one of those monsters to the other as Xyz material. Now, it doesn't transfer all the material one has to another, so you're mostly better off attaching an empty Xyz to one with material, or choosing 2 Xyz with no material. The first effect to essentially share material is also pretty nice, but hasn't really been a concern that needs fixing. So this card hasn't really seen much play, ever. Honestly, I'm kinda just wondering what the argument is about. Is Chalk9 upset that Cataroost didn't wake them up on time, so they were all late? I mean, they did show up in the second wave of Zoodiac support after all. But I like to think it was because they were playing another game where gathering is a big deal. And if there's anything Konami wants from its characters, it's brand loyalty. Alright, so that's all the Zoodiac cards, but what do we do with them? Well, the deck doesn't really have its own concise win condition. We have a lot of utility effects and great resource management, but closing out the game? Yeah, that's not happening. So we'll want to rely on other themes to do the heavy lifting for us, while the Zoodiac part plays support. So what can we play to help them out? Well, a support card you definitely want to keep in mind is Fire Formation Tenki. Currently semi-limited, though this time because of a different tri-type focused archetype, it searches any member of our cast and gives them all a much needed, if small, attack boost. You might also want to consider Tensu for the extra normal summon, which will help you with your generic rank 4 plays while giving your Xyz monsters a bit more heft. Broadbull may be gone, but Chalk9 is still a good onboarding point if you want some beefier Xyz. This also means you should keep Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Tiger King in mind to search more Fire Formation cards and give you some more broad negation. And while Tri-Brigade is fresh on our minds, yeah, that's a great theme to cross over with this. All the spare Zoodiacs we throw in the grave make great fodder for grave linking, and you get even more removal options with Shreg. And if you're worried about banishing all your Zoos, just activate Revolt to get them all back. I've mentioned Utopic Draco Future previously, but it bears repeating, this card is nutty. Any 2 Zoodiac Xyz make the base Utopic Future, which then ranks up into the big body that pushes for damage while providing monster effect negation. Alpha, the Master of Beasts, is a superb option to help with breaking boards. You can easily slam it onto the field, especially considering how low the attack of our Zoodiacs are likely to be, then bounce any number of them, even itself, to clear out threats while once again being a big body that can help you push for game if that effect isn't needed. Infinitrack Fortress Megaclops is sometimes floated as a potential boss monster for the theme, being unaffected by all monsters save for Xyz, which would be really good protection if almost every deck didn't have a way to contest this with Zeus. However, if we look at what it can do, rather than what it might prevent, we see a monster that can take spent Zoodiac Xyz monsters, turn them into removal while giving them more material, and now they have a fresh spring in their step, so it might be worth to keep one on hand just in case. As for a silly tech pick, how about Xyz Gift? If you're going to fold some of these monsters into Utopic Future anyway and lose all their material, you might as well get some draws out of it. And that's all I have to say about Zoodiac. Their full potential will never be unleashed until some of their more powerful members are let off the list, but honestly, I'm okay with keeping it the way it is. While monsters like Drident, I believe, are on the same level as the current meta, Broadbull can never come back, and I'm pretty iffy on Barrage. However, as a little side engine in other decks, it shines for its ability to stay flexible while gaining you a lot of advantage. Or to just Zeus your opponent. Seriously, at this point, I'm just about to count Zeus as an honorary Zoodiac. Zeusiac. Zoodeus? But now, I want to hear what you all have to say. Are Zoodiacs Zoopendous, or is this just not their year? Let me know in the comments, and if you haven't already, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to show your support, ring that bell so you don't miss an episode, and share this video with someone you know who loves Yu-Gi-Oh! It really does a lot to help me out. Today's episode was sponsored by my lovely patrons, including Quasar Commander Harry, the ominous benefactor, special contributor Gibbles the Gibble, Nebula Navigators 3rd Dynasty, Adam Zajdel, Ashling Waltz, Avi Chali, Benjamin Meisner, Kane Senpai, Cameron Berg, Eric, Frankie, Genesis Yu-Gi-Oh!, Gloomba331, Great Big Pillock, Howling Zangetsu, Ironic, John Manji, Julius Sneezer, Larakia, Meteornus, Michael Madsen, Mighty Action X, Muzuki Clark, Neo Trinity, Panther J, Rebel King Lucifer, Rem T. Bright, RJ the Jank Monarch, Ruxith Sarani, Sophie, apparently, The Fresh Prince of Conair, The Wizard Moose, True Neutral, Tyler Cranston, Xander Wolfensberger and Zyrus, Cosmic Crusaders, Bear Sharktopus Studios, Chaz Ghost, Corbinisms, Emily, Eva Padilla, Inblink, Jesus Garcia, KL, Kale the Dragon, King Scarlet Yu-Gi-Oh!, Lord Whoop-De-Doo, Manga Pages, Marion James E. Picata, Nitromo, RGS, Shooting Star 3300, Star-Lord 777, and the Legendary Raven, as well as the wonderful Starlight Explorers you see on screen now. I'm only able to continue doing this thanks to the support of these lovely people, so if you'd like to be a part of these credits, as well as help me in my journey to cover all of Yu-Gi-Oh's archetypes, please check out my YouTube membership or Patreon links in the description to see if I have anything you'd like on offer. And if you want to see another video that's chock full of big bad beast warriors, check out this video I made all about Boojins. And if you want to see two Yu-Gi-Tubers going at it, check out Noah Jenkinai's latest series Progression Polls, where your voice shapes the format. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.